Hi, I'm Daniel Kosoy and this is United 24 Media. A command post of Russia's Sever military group was successfully struck in the city of Gubkin in the Belgorod region. This was stated by Ukraine's main intelligence director, DIU, on November 20th. Local residents reported hearing loud explosions as well as seeing thick black smoke in the area, accompanied by a strong odor. DIU recalled that for every crime committed against the Ukrainian people, there will be adequate and fair retribution. A factory of the EFCO company was hit with drones in Alexievka, also in the Belgorod region. This was reported by the head of the Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation, Andriy Kovalenko. He noted that the facility primarily produces food, but in reality also manufactures cargo drones used by the Russian army for military purposes. In the Novgorod region, near the town of Kotovo, UAVs attacked the 13th arsenal of the Russian main missile and artillery directorate. It stores shells for barreled artillery, mortar shells, Iskander, and North Korean KN-23 missiles, ammunition for the Tor air defense systems, and missiles for S-300 and S-400, and for other types of MLRS. The arsenal is located approximately 680 kilometers from the border of Ukraine. The attacks in Alexievka and Kotovo have not been confirmed by the Ukrainian military. The US has shut its embassy in Kyiv, warning a significant Russian air attack is in the works on November 20th. Out of caution, the embassy closed, with its employees instructed to prepare to seek shelter. The alert came a day after Ukraine reportedly used US-supplied ATACMS missiles to strike Russian territory for the first time. The embassies of Spain, Italy, and Greece followed suit, also closing. Meanwhile, Telegram channels started spreading rumors that Russia is preparing to launch their new experimental RS-26 ICBM. The rocket is capable of carrying 4 conventional and thermonuclear payloads up to 300 kilotons each, reaching a distance upwards of 5,500 kilometers, which is indirectly a breach of the arms control treaty between the United States and Russia. To follow the latest news from Ukraine, subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment down below. Self-proclaimed President Vladimir Putin has approved Russia's updated nuclear doctrine. This was reported by Russia's state-owned media, TASS. According to the updated document, Moscow reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in response to the use of weapons of mass destruction against itself or its allies, as well as in the event of attacks against Russia or Belarus involving conventional weapons. Additionally, aggression by any country from a military alliance against Russia will be considered aggression by the entire bloc. It's not the first time Russia has threatened a nuclear escalation, stated EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Joseph Borrel. He called these escalations as completely irresponsible and underlined that the EU condemns any reference to the use of nuclear arms.
Russia has subscribed to the principle that a nuclear war cannot be won and so must never be fought, and any call for nuclear warfare is an irresponsibility. We have to call it the way it is. It is not the first time that Putin plays the nuclear game ball. He also created food and energy security crisis. It's not the first time that he uses everything he can in order to create insecurity.
Putin's update to Russia's nuclear doctrine is a clear indication of his intent to continue the war against Ukraine. This was stated by President Zelenskyy. He underlined that after 1,000 days of full-scale war, it is evident that the Russian leader has no intention of pursuing peace.
1,000 days, I think it's enough to understand that Putin doesn't want any peace. Even this day, this is the fact, not some such words or something like this, not rhetoric. I mean, even this day, they killed our civilians. Even, especially this day, they presented nuclear weapons strategy. Why? They didn't present peace strategy. Did you hear it? Did you read about it? No, of course. Of course, nuclear weapons strategy. I don't want to repeat very simple things. Putin wants war.
Zelenskyy was also asked about the possible use of US ATACMS missiles in the ammunition depot strike in Russia's Bryansk region. He refrained from confirming or denying.
Without going into details, Ukraine has long-range capabilities including domestically produced drones, the extended range Neptune missiles, and now ATACMS. We will use all of these.
Denmark will provide Ukraine with 130 million euros for the development of its defense industry. This was announced by the Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, during a joint press conference with President Zelenskyy. Frederiksen arrived in Kyiv on November 19th on an unannounced visit.
More than 130 million euros directly to Ukraine's defense industry, because we know now what your industry is capable of, because we know that these investments make a real difference on the battlefield. And make no mistake, our support is long-term.
The Danish Prime Minister underlined the vital lessons Europe could learn from Ukraine's defense experience, particularly in developing and scaling up production lines. The Pentagon is preparing a new defense aid package for Ukraine worth at least $275 million. The package is set to include HIMARS artillery rocket systems and Javelin anti-tank munitions. This was reported by the Associated Press on November 19th. The news agency stated that with Trump preparing to return to the White House, the Biden administration is hastening to send weapon shipments to Ukraine almost weekly to utilize the remaining $7.1 billion in allocated funds before the end of President Biden's term. The United Kingdom has imposed sanctions on 10 Russian officials and youth organizations connected to the deportation and ideological indoctrination of Ukrainian children. This was announced by the UK government on November 19th. Among those sanctioned is UnArmia, a militarized Russian patriotic youth organization that has played a central role in Putin's efforts to forcibly transport and brainwash Ukrainian children. The sanctions also target the military patriotic sports camp Avant-Garde in Russia's Belgorod region, where deported Ukrainian children were taken.
It has been 1,000 days. 1,000 days since Russia's full-scale invasion stunned the world. 1,000 days in which Ukrainian bravery has inspired the world. And 1,000 days whose horror and bloodshed has dismayed the world. If we want to see peace restored in Europe, we need Putin to see there's no route to military victory. We need to make the price he pays for his senseless war even higher.
The US is likely to lift the ban on the use of British Storm Shadow missiles for strikes into Russian territory. This was reported by The Times, citing anonymous sources, adding that the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, hinted Storm Shadow strikes are only a matter of time. It was also noted that the US had previously not authorized the use of its technology for Storm Shadow missiles to strike Russia because Washington was concerned about further escalation. This position changed, however, after Russia involved North Korean soldiers in the battle. In May 2023, the UK officially confirmed that London supplied Kyiv with long-range missiles it needed in the fight against Russian forces. According to its manufacturer, Storm Shadows have a range of over 250 kilometers. Ukraine already used them, but only on its own territory. Sky News stated that these missiles were used to strike the Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters in Sevastopol in the temporarily occupied Crimea in September of 2023. A video of a Ukrainian serviceman playing Nothing Else Matters on the bandura was shared by the band Metallica. On their Instagram page, they posted about discovering Ukrainian cultural forces, a group of Ukrainian artists who are now active duty soldiers. One of them is Taras Stolyev, an honored artist of Ukraine and a reconnaissance operative in the 112th Separate Brigade. Taras was filmed performing Metallica's hit song on a Ukrainian traditional folk instrument, the 62-string bandura. The cultural forces were on tour in the US, but now the soldiers are returning back to the front in Ukraine, wrote Metallica for their 12 million Instagram followers. That's it for today. We're United 24 Media. Thank you for being with us, and see you tomorrow.